Hey everybody, welcome back to the Maple Grove Scripture Reading Podcast. So last time we finished up chapter 36, where Elihu started the argument from creation in earnest. He described God drawing up the water, loading the clouds, pouring rain on mankind. He talked about the pavilion of God, the thunder from his dwelling, the lightning held in his hands and commanded it to strike its mark, the way that God governs nations through weather, using the same clouds to water the earth or to punish, and the cattle who know that the storm is coming before any person does. So today we're going to get into the first 5 verses of chapter 37, and something's going to change. So let me read through that. At this, my heart pounds and leaps from its place. Listen to the roar of his voice, to the rumbling that comes from his mouth. He unleashes his lightning beneath the whole heaven and sends it to the ends of the earth. After that comes the sound of his roar. He thunders with his majestic voice. When his voice resounds, he holds nothing back. God's voice thunders in marvelous ways. He does great things beyond our understanding. Before anything else, there's something worth knowing about where we are in the book. So the chapter division between 36 and 37, of course, were added later. It's not in the original text. The editors who eventually divided the book into numbered chapters made a cut here, but the passage doesn't really pause. The storm speech that Elihu started in chapter 36 runs directly into chapter 37 without a break. And that matters because it means the opening line of chapter 37, "At this my heart pounds and leaps from its place," is responding to what he was already describing. Lightning filling his hands, thunder from the pavilion, the cattle sensing the storm before it arrived. All of that was building inside Elihu while he described it, and now it breaks open into a physical response. And he was telling the room about God's control of the storm, and somewhere in the telling, the storm got to him. He starts by saying, "At this, my heart pounds and leaps from its place." And this is different from everything Elihu has said across the 4 speeches so far. He's been debating, he's been arguing, he's made logical cases, identified weaknesses in his friends' arguments, pressed Job on specific claims, even when he got emotional, calling for Job to be tested to the utmost and accusing him of multiplying words against God. It was the emotion of a man who was sure that he was winning an argument. And this is different. My heart pounds and leaps from its place. That's not really debate language. That's more encounter. Something hit him while he was talking. He was in the middle of describing the lightning, the thunder, and the water cycle, and the reality of what he was describing broke through into him personally. And we're 37 chapters in now. This has been rare, right? Like one of the speakers stops mid-speech to say his own heart has been undone by what he's describing? No. The knowledge from afar has done something to Elihu. He says, listen to the roar of his voice, to the rumbling that comes from his mouth. The double command is urgent. It means pay attention. He's not asking the room to give him their attention in some polite academic sense. He's saying, stop what you're doing. There is something happening right now. Can you hear it? The storm that Elihu has been describing is not just some past event or an abstract phenomenon. It's happening, or it's about to happen, or the sound of it is present to him in a way that has overtaken him physically, like he is in it. The roar of his voice, the rumbling that comes from his mouth. Thunder is the voice of God. Every storm is his speech. The sound that fills the sky and vibrates your chest. It's not just weather making noise, he's saying. It's God speaking. And Elihu is pressing the room to hear it that way. This is what he promised when he said he would bring knowledge from afar. He wasn't just going to argue from observations about creation. He was going to get to the place where the creation itself overwhelmed the argument. He was going to point at what every person can see and hear and feel and say. This is who you're dealing with. Stop abstracting it and listen. He continues, he says, he unleashes his lightning beneath the whole heaven and sends it to the ends of the earth. There's scale to that, right? Beneath the whole heaven, from one end of the earth to the other. The lightning doesn't just happen locally in, the patch of sky above your field. It's reaching everywhere. It is the same God, the same hand, the same command operating simultaneously across the entire sky. When a storm is directly overhead, the scale compresses and it feels personal and overwhelming in the right and terrifying sense. But step back to the widest possible view, and it's happening all at once across the whole sky, to every nation, over every ocean, over everything. It's the kind of observation that should stop a person who has been pressing charges against God's governance. Like, you are one person with one situation in one small place. The governance is happening at a scale that you can't even comprehend. Your framework for justice, built from your experience of your life, is being brought to something that operates simultaneously across the whole earth. It doesn't make Job's pain less real, but it does make the demand that God justify himself to Job look a little different. Elihu's not being cruel. He's just trying to recalibrate things. He goes on, saying, after that comes the sound of his roar. He thunders with his majestic voice. When his voice resounds, he holds nothing back. So the thunder follows the lightning. And if you've been in any storm and you've been close to it, the sequence. You have the flash of the lightning, and then you wait, and then the sound that fills everything. Now, sometimes there's almost no wait, and the sound hits immediately. He continues saying he holds nothing back. When God's voice resounds in the thunder, there's no restraint in it, no polite announcement, no measured volume. The sound is everything the sound can be. He holds nothing back. The phrase is carrying a lot of weight, and it's not just about the decibels. Across the whole book, Job has been frustrated by God's apparent restraint. That God hasn't answered, God hasn't appeared. God has been silent when Job wanted a response. And Elihu points to the thunder and says, this is what it sounds like when God holds nothing back. The silence you've been experiencing is not the final word. God's voice thunders in marvelous ways, he says. He does great things beyond our understanding. And this is where the chapter division should fall, probably, though the original text never actually broke. And this section closes with a statement that is both an ending and an opening. God does great things beyond our understanding. That's a declaration of limits. Human understanding has a ceiling. What God does is to exceed it. For the debate this book has, that's a pretty significant statement. Job has been demanding that God make his governance comprehensible, that the justice of what has happened be legible on human terms. Elihu is saying that the standard of comprehension Job has been applying is the wrong instrument, because you can't measure God's ways with a measuring rod built to your scale. The thunder doesn't explain itself. It just comes. The lightning doesn't file some kind of brief. The rain doesn't wait for your analysis before falling. God's great things happen beyond your understanding, and they always have. Next time, we'll get into verses 6 through 13, and we are going into the winter, where we have snow and rain and animals in their dens and the tempest from its chamber, the breath of God producing ice. And then you got a line that kind of explains what weather is for. All right, hope you have a great day, and we'll talk again soon. God bless.